Support for the Confederacy of Dunks is brought to you by
Manscaped,
who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Manscaped
Offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Big news.
Manscaped launched in Canada. For those listeners in Canada, you can be one of the first Canadians to experience their life-changing products. Matty D, one time I tried to put Nair on my hair down there. Let's just say third degree burn.
Freddie, one time used my mom's electric fabric shaver that picks up all the lint, got stuck on my nuts, had to call my mom for help.
Shut the monkey. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer and have their new and improved Lawnmower 3.0.
Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. The battery is pretty damn good, too, lasting up to 90 minutes. No rushing, Fred.
Wow. Plus, the waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower.
Ooh. And you know what I really like?
The LED light.
It illuminates when you're grooming so that you can get a precise trim, and I also have the option of shaving in the woods during a full moon.
They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology.
And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show your mower off loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a conveniently charging dock powered by
USB.
If you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Trim that junk of yours.
Now get 20% off and free shipping with the code DunksPod.
Dunkspod.
At manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use the code DunksPod.
Dunkspod.
It's time to shave those balls, eh?
Your balls will thank you.
Hello. Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. Aaron Baynes.
Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks
Basketball Podcast.
I am your befuddled host. Who, sir, are you?
I'm the producer, Matt Duncan, and number one Aussie fan, Aaron Baynes. Looking
You look
forward to
like
that,
Aaron
mate.
Baynes a little bit.
Dear. Can't wait.
Sorry, does Aaron Baynes sound like a revving car? Or
That's what everyone's gonna be doing when he hits the chords, like down. It's gonna be huge.
I don't know where you're coming from. I don't want to know.
I think it's a didgeridoo.
Oh, it's a didgeridoo. I should have known. Oh man, folks, I gotta let you all know I feel bad because before the pod last week it was Matt's birthday. So if you see him in person, don't touch him because of COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
But you wish him happy birthday. Follow this guy on Twitter. Give him some stuff. You know what I mean? Give him some free stuff. Come on. The happy birthday, dude.
Oh wow, thanks. That's right. Yeah, another year.
Another Aaron Baynes joke.
Another Aaron Baynes. Get ready for my Aaron Baynes jokes.
I am so excited for your Aaron Baynes jokes. I said Aaron's Baynes jokes. Anyhow, Matt, let's give people the goods. If people want to help us, find us, share us, support us, toque us, how can they do that?
Couple of places you can go. Always our website, dunkspodcast.com. We've got all of our links there for the podcatchers, and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff, as well as our Patreon if you would like to support us there. And go to the Sonar Network, which is the podcast network we are a part of. Still, I think the only sports podcast on there. So whoopity-doo. And they've also got a lot of other great stuff there. They're adding new stuff all the time, so check them out as well. And if you need a toque, you're in the right spot. We just had a big dump of snow, a little tester for the winter, and you're going to need a toque. Anti-itch toque, may I say. So you can get in contact with us. You can buy it on Shopify or contact us through our, other circuits, our email and whatnot. And
heck yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
And before we get this episode kind of popping off with our two amazing guests and, a lot of Raptor stuff going on.
Oh, shit. Are you going to talk about Manscaped?
I wasn't, but let's do that.
It is our last week for Manscaped, so we should plug it. Because
use our promo code, people.
Yeah, right? Use the promo code DunksPod and get yourself some Christmas shopping done for yourself or for someone else. And let me say, the last thing I'll recommend on there is the Shears 2.0, which is a luxury nail kit, and it only costs $20. So you'll get 20% off that 20 plus free shipping. You'll get something real nice to keep those fingers beautiful,
I love it. People, you're not supposed to be shopping in person anywho.
Yeah.
So hop online, use our promo code, which is DunksPod.
Yeah.
That's DUNKSPOD. And buy something. Buy something for your junk, for someone else's junk.
Ball trimmers, ball dusters, ball croppers, you name it.
That's right. Now, with the manscaping good stuff out of the way, I'll get a little bit more serious before we start the pod. Lots of things going on, lots of things to be stressed about, scared about. Here's something that's good with a tinge of what the hell. So the good part is there's a guy named Khalil Seavright who is building these, Toronto tiny shelters, which are homeless shelters. They're portable. They're warm. Our city hasn't taken care of our homeless population. People are being evicted during COVID. Winter is going to be an extremely dangerous time. And this amazing person has recognized all that, and they're putting their skills to use. So we're going to post a GoFundMe. It's Khalil's GoFundMe. He's looking for materials or money. And let's also keep pressure on our city councilors because they are trying to fine him for the removal of these when it's on public property, which is all well and good if you were a city that took care of its population. But we're not. And this guy's stepping up, and we need to help him step up. Without anything else, email your city councilors, Black Lives Matter, and defund the police, folks. And Matt, if you feel like we're good to go, we're good to roll on this pod, please just give me the sweet words. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get going here on this very exciting, I guess, all things free agency episode. But we got two amazing guests. I've just realized it's their first time being on the same episode together. I'm going to change that because this is going to be a good episode. Let's bring on guest number one. She's a comedian. She's a writer for a bunch of things that she's hilarious. She does stand-up. She has her own basketball podcast, which she'll plug for sure. Please give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone in quarantine, for Cathryn Naiker. Hey,
always happy to be back on this podcast from my bedroom closet, which is the best space for audio. Good to see you.
Thanks. I'm happy to host you again. Probably not in the best audio spot, but visually there's a pear butt right behind me. So that's always good, right?
You know what? That's a good way to encourage people to watch the podcast via YouTube, because everyone just listening is really missing out on what I would call a very compelling pear butt.
You know what? It is a very compelling pair butt. And it's titled Leave Us Behind. So
there we go.
Some humor in there too.
Puns included.
Okay, let's bring on guest number 2. She's amazing. We're always lucky to have her. She's, Miss Basketball Feelings. She's with Up Rocks, and I did Dishes and Dime Pod, and writes for a million cool things. You have to follow everything she does. Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone in quarantine, for Katie Heindl.
Always a thrill to hear that song. But it's more thrilling to hear everyone else's songs for the first time.
Nothing like hearing one of Matt's chosen sampled 3 songs.
That song's going on like years now.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah, I think so.
It's your 13th episode, so yeah, we've been using it quite a bit.
Ooh, Matt coming in with the hot stat.
Oh.
Keeping track.
Well, I have to thank the Sonar Network. They make it really easy. I can just click on your name and see everything you've done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you guys all have your own profile on there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice subtle plug too. Very, very good.
I know. I was thinking that. I was like, Matt totally landed that nice classy plug. You know what? There's so much to talk about. I think especially with the Raptors, but obviously the league. So let's just dive in because I'm sure we'll run out of time super quick. Matt, if you got a Raptor sting for me, please, good sir, would you give it to me?
#RTZ.
Can somebody get us a fisherman's friend, please?
Whoa, I think we got a sound combo. First of all, for the folks who don't understand what RTZ is, Matt's explaining that to you. And of course, Nick Nurse coughing, looking for a fisherman's friend. I don't know if he's still the brand ambassador of Fisherman's Friends, but
yeah, it's a lifelong contract.
Yeah, right. Sorry, it's a lifelong contract.
It's more about keeping his voice consistently hoarse.
Yeah,
I think that's really what it is.
Right. Yeah. Like when he says, "Right, Doug," it's got to have the extra whoa, this gentleman's been at sea.
Yeah, it would. Even though he's from Iowa, I mean, it would be my dream to be able to capture his cadence. But okay.
Iowa, the land of lakes and fisherman coughs. Cathyrn, I'm gonna go to you first. I think I kind of want to frame. We'll see how both of you are feeling about this off season, but in my mind, the major thing that they needed to do was get the second best free agent in the NBA, Fred Van Vleet, and pay him and make sure that he stays here and is the point guard of the future. I feel like they did that. The contract, I mean, obviously we'll see how good it is, but it seems very Raptors friendly. It seems very cap friendly. It seems like it will be a good deal throughout the duration of his age. Seems like everything's good, really, in the Fred Van Vleet department. Plus, you got the good news of him betting on himself. That's obviously just a good story. And he's the highest paid ever undrafted, it's the highest undrafted contract, I believe. And anyways, I think that was the main thing. So let's just start there, Cathyrn. We'll connect it all afterwards, but how you feeling about the Fred contract, Fred in general, him being the point guard of the future?
Yeah, I mean, just speaking about Fred, obviously this is great for us. It's great for him. It does feel like a real win-win situation overall. Like it's a good contract. And like you said, it's a record-breaking contract for an undrafted free agent. this is great for me because last year I purchased his Roots boots and was like, do not want to purchase another pair of boots. You know what I mean? So from like an emotional level, it's like very good for me, but it's also very good for the team. I think we all wanted Fred to be the point guard of the future. Like, I don't think there's any major vocal part of the Raptor fandom that wanted anything otherwise. So yeah, in terms of the Fred thing, it's a real win overall.
Yeah, I think so. Cathyrn, where are you on? Yeah, you know, it's weird to talk about things in isolation, but I feel like we'll get there. Where are you just on, you know, I guess you love Fred, right? So this is a big part of Fred's journey, no?
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, he has the whole bet on yourself thing, which is getting like, I feel like I'm almost hearing it like too much, if that's possible. Maybe Katie will disagree with me on that. But like, okay, we get it. We gotta bet on ourselves. And as we talk more and more about free agency, I also think the Raptors are very much betting on themselves in terms of their odds of getting Giannis and what this year means and its plans going into the 2021 free agency, not to jump ahead. But I think, you know, Fred is, you know, one of those feel-good stories, as well as Chris Boucher, which I know we'll get into later. They are the reason why you watch sports. You know, like that is why you tune in. It's like we are irrationally, emotionally invested in these guys, and we want to see people achieve great things. And Fred is very much one of those people. And I think the future for him is very bright. I think the contract is both good and fair. And he has the option to be a free agent again at the end of these 4 years. And who knows what'll happen at that point. So yeah, it feels great.
How about you, Katie? Are you feeling good about this Fred contract, like in isolation, or, you know, are you feeling maybe the bet on yourself thing is getting overbranded?
Imagine I was like, no, I'm sick of it. I hate this. No, of course it was like he was their main target. I think like going into this free agency, the stage of this free agency, also to your point, Freddie, like made him pretty much like one of the most attractive players. So, I mean, that was kind of working against the Raptors, I'd say, just like maybe in what they would like offer him contract wise. I personally love that they offered him this much. I like remember when he went on, what's his name, Reddick's podcast, and he was like, I'm like trying to secure the bag. And the people that like feigned being shocked by that, I was so confused by it, because it's like, dude, this guy has like money bags on most of his clothing line. You know, like that's what the brand is.
Yeah. Usually also, bet with money. Sorry.
Yeah. And like, he's so deserving of it. So I think like, you know, I love it when players like advocate for what they're worth and when they get it, obviously. So, and like Fred, you know, to Cathryn's point too, like he deserves it. This is the reason like why we love and get like very emotionally invested in sports, is for players like Fred. So yeah, the Fred deal is, it's a great place to start, because I feel like it's the highest point that the Raptors kind of hit this free agency.
And you know what? Let's go there. So yeah, my next kind of question is, I want to say, you know, goodbye to Marc and Serge and kind of contextualize it before we go to the new additions. So Katie, can you just give me like your favorite Marc and Serge moments on and off the court, and like to tell me what it feels like to lose them now, I guess.
It sucks. I think it was really stupid to lose them. I would go so far as to say that I don't think there was the expectation that you'd lose both. I think, you know, in a perfect world, they probably wanted to run it back with everybody, especially just going into this year that is kind of like, you know, you don't want to fall off the map completely competitively, because you still want to be able to attract a player like Giannis to show that like your team has a shot at like going on a championship run again. Yeah. But I also understand they wanted to keep cap space by not offering these guys like more than a year contract, which was obviously what they both wanted, because that's what they took, you know, with the Clippers and with the Lakers. I'm getting off topic here because I feel like Barry's still raw about this. Favorite
No, that's
moment.
fair. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Probably this, like, I have favorite moments with Serge. I love when he was like dancing at what seemed like a wedding that he just like crashed after the Raptors won the title. That was like, it's like an amazing video, amazing song, amazing dance. But I also just like, mostly with Serge, I love how every single season he was here, he like came out of his shell a little bit more. And he basically like brought that's like was his high point with the team. He like made it so every player kind of came out of like their sort of self-serious, like workman-like approach to basketball.
Yeah.
Serge was able to just kind of like break them all down and like let them see like you can lighten up sometimes and like it's not really going to affect your ability to like still be this like gritty, dogged team like Toronto is. Marc's tough because I think like what I liked about him so much is how sort of like elusive and like stubborn he could seem. And I feel like we were just getting to know that a little bit better in a different way. And then we sort of lost him, you know? Yeah, it sucks, man.
Yeah, I think it sucks too. And Cathryn, I'll just kind of, I don't know if you feel the same as both of us, but I'll just add to Katie's point. I think you kind of nailed it, Katie, by saying we didn't expect to lose both of them. I honestly thought there was a chance after it was like that weird time where like, wait a second, Gasol isn't going back to Spain. I kind of thought there was an opportunity where it's like, I think maybe they'll both just come back and the Raptors have enough money, you know, to pay them adequately for this year and not beyond. And I guess both of those guys kind of like did want some money beyond, but even still, yeah, it's a bit frustrating. I think if, you know, we'll get to the pickups later, but if we had those pickups plus Gasol, or if we had those pickups plus Ibaka, the outlook would be very different for this team. And I also feel like the state of excitement would be different. Even if you're kind of like, hey, everyone's going a bit center crazy. There's 4 or 5 game-changing centers. Every other team is center by committee. Even with that, you don't want to be on the lower end of that committee. But Cathryn, sorry, I kind of strayed from my own thing. Let's stick to Marc and Serge. Like, what's your feeling with them leaving?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely disappointing. I think just from a fan perspective, I wasn't really like ready for the run it back era to kind of be over. Like even when the Raptors like released those new jerseys, I was like so mad because I was like, we don't need new jerseys. We're not in a new era. We're not in a new thing. Don't give me these new jerseys.
Ha.
You know, like I don't care if they look good or don't look good or whatever. Like I'm just not ready to let this sort of year and this era go. I mean, I think from Serge, I'll start with Serge first. Like it's very disappointing to see him go. I really thought we had a chance of re-signing him. But with that being said, he absolutely deserves more than a 1-year contract. You know what I mean? Like if I were Serge, I think I would have done the same thing. Like, you know, sure, this team wants to get Giannis and they want to be in the running. It's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But like, I got to take care of me as well. I also think for him, because he's interested in more like, you know, television stuff, like with this How Hungry Are You show and things like that, definitely being in LA is advantageous for him. Even like he started all those things in Toronto, and of course he could have continued here. It's more difficult because there's more restrictions here. And then he wouldn't even be here. He'd be in like Tampa for like how many months before, you know, he comes back or what have you. So I think when you think about everything that's going on in his life outside of basketball, it sort of made sense to be in LA as well, which is like unfortunate. And I hate seeing another championship Raptor go to the Clippers, who I don't think are going to win ultimately. But I think it was the best thing for him to do for himself. So it's like, I'm really sad to see him go, but I would never be upset about it from his point of view. I just think it makes a lot of sense. With Gasol, like I had already kind of set, like I'd already kind of accepted the fact that he wasn't going to stay, like after all of those rumors about Barcelona came up.
Yeah, me too.
So I wasn't really expecting him to stay. I'm kind of shocked that he got this contract with the Lakers, although on a personal level, I'm very happy for him. Like I love Marc Gasol, but I wasn't sitting here thinking like we need to have him back necessarily. There is no replacing Marc Gasol. He's a very unique player, but the way he struggled all last year, not just in the bubble, but with like the 2 hamstring injuries and then the losing weight and all the effort that he made to be like a contributing factor in the bubble. And then just like not even looking at the basket anymore. And, he kind of pulled it together towards that later part of that Boston series. But a part of me was just like, I don't know how much he has left. And so I'm rooting for him very much so. So I don't want this skepticism to come across as like anti-Gasol or anything. But I had kind of accepted that maybe he wasn't a part of the team going forward. But I'm more sad and disappointed about Serge.
Yeah, I think that's fair and appropriate. And you touch on a good point. First of all, losing the players to LA, Danny, Kawhi, Marc, and Serge now to the respective Lakers and the Clippers. And it makes me feel like, 2 things. One, all the Raptors fans that were kind of like slamming on Serge and Gasol, in this time, I don't feel like you really get to be upset that, especially the ones who are like, Gasol is a bum, he should retire. And it's like, cool, then we don't have him anymore. And I hope you're happy about that. But I feel like Serge is a bit more in that like middle territory. And what stings, the second part that kind of stings for me is the fact that we're losing these guys to like potential contenders, and that is like kind of helping to push us potentially out of contention by not having those like veteran guys that make those big plays. And then the third thing I'll just add, I am quite happy for both of them, and I would be fun to see them go against each other like in a conference finals. Let's kind of move to the last part here, and I'll stick with you, Cathryn. I don't know who you want to talk about, but Baynes, Boucher, Len, and Bembry are the kind of big attractions. I think there are some positive
attractions.
Yeah, that sounds weird. That's not good. Maybe I won't use that again. But that's who we have to kind of like think about until this season, which is so close, gets going. Just kind of jump off on Boucher's here. We know Boucher a little bit, but how do you feel about the center by committee thing? Bringing in a guy like Bembry to back up, or I guess play the 2 a little bit. Does it excite you? Are you kind of like, this is really bad? Are you like, this is okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it's a downgrade in the center position. But with that being said, I'm happy to have Baynes. I mean, if anything, I'm just happy that within a 24-hour period, we did find another center just for my own anxiety. Like there was some brief like Siakam at the 5 talk that was just really making me breathe heavy, to be honest. Like I was just like, come on, we're going to figure this out. It's not like, off season's over. Like obviously we were going to make some trades and sign some people. So I'm happy with the Baynes signing for sure. As far as the other guys, like we'll see, like I'm sure they're going to be great. I'm hoping that having another backup point will lead to a Terrence Davis trade. We'll see. I feel like what this year is very much a transition season towards landing Giannis. I mean, we'll see if Katie agrees with me or not. But I just feel like, we talk about bet on yourself. Like, we are rolling a lot of dice here. And I'm not used to this level of confidence, but I do admire the confidence. I do admire that, like, we're really, really going for it. And that's, ultimately why I believe we didn't give Serge more than 1 year. And that's why we've signed on these guys for now, because it's like, oh, this will keep us a relevant team in the East. I would not be surprised if we made a midseason trade before the deadline, depending on how well these guys sort of gel together. And, this whole year is about the 2021 off season. So I've accepted that this is the transition year that it is. I do like the Baynes signing. I don't know much about the other guys, about Len or about sorry, I need to pull it up in front of me.
DeAndre Bembry and yes. So Alex Len and DeAndre Bembry were the other. Yes,
Bembry is the name that I was forgetting. That's the backup point guard that I'm hoping we will keep and then trade Terrence Davis. But we'll see. I've accepted my overall answer here is that I've accepted that this is a transition season.
That's okay. So before I hop over to Katie here, I think I'm going to throw in, maybe I'm just like being too optimistic here. But I did want to start with Fred for a reason. And I think it's so important we got Fred, because I think about what did Nurse do when he was trying to put on his very best players to beat the Boston Celtics. He played Kyle, Fred, Norm, OG, and Pascal. He sat Serge and Marc. And we didn't win, obviously, but I think OG did a remarkable job. And I'm not even trying to suggest that OG and Siakam are going to log big center minutes or that's even the way forward. I just think that the style in which we play, who the Raptors are, is very much intact. I think if Kyle was not so much a part of the equation still, you'd see a lot less optimism from me. But I think that coupled with what I've seen around the league, which is some good stuff, but nothing, I still think we're in a post Golden State world where no one's really scratching that surface of greatness. And therefore a team like Miami can make it to the finals last year. But so that's where my optimism is at. Is kind of, I do think the Raptors got a little bit worse, but I don't think the league is a scary place for a mediocre team or a pretty good team right now. That could change with one trade though. Anyways, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I hope that's not too much of a weird silver lining, but Katie, please hit me with some cold water, because maybe it's actually what I need.
I guess I'm just upset. Yeah, I think the Raptors got a little bit worse, but I also think they got completely vibeless, sauceless team. That, like, I don't know, man. This is the silver lining, okay? It is a testament to the Raptors, like, kind of chemistry and all these other intangible things that Serge and Marc were able to really, like, gel and become, like, such huge parts of the team that quickly. Like, Marc was only here for, like, a season and a half, and Serge for, like, 3 seasons, which in the grand scheme of things, if you want to look at, like, the Lowry era, which is, like, almost a decade now, is, like, pretty small. It's like a small blip. But that said, like, they kind of endeared themselves, and the style of which they played to the team, I think more than the team thought it needed at the time. Like, Marc is such a defensive savant, and I think people don't really understand that, because it's like a little bit of a Lowry thing. Like, when he's off the court, you notice it a lot more. Serge obviously is like one of those players who wasn't content to just kind of rest on his laurels as like a positional player. Like, he added that 3-point shot this season. So I think, like, as big men, like, if you want to talk about like playing their roles, like, they offered a lot more than I think, anyone we got back, or maybe anyone else that was on the market. I mean, the Lakers obviously scared the shit out of everybody in the playoffs, because they were just like, we're a huge team and we're going to take advantage of that. And I think that's why we saw this, like, big man bonanza of free agency.
That's a great way to call it. Yeah.
It came out kind of slow, but then it got more confident as it went along. Like, this is a bonanza. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think, when everyone was just like scrambling to sign players, like Cathyrn, I was also panicked when we didn't sign both of them within 24 hours. And I was like, okay, who are we going to get?
Yes,
I'm not a big fan. I never really have been. I'm suspicious of most Australians or Australian adjacent players. Matthew Dellavedova really did a number on me, but I mean, he seems to be like well loved by his fans that like follow him from team to team. So I guess that's fine. Len, I think he's just like, an alternative kind of presence.
He's really like a total flyer. Sorry.
Yeah. Bembry is like, if you guys haven't looked at Bembry's Instagram, which is Fear the Fro 95, it's like I've been following him. He's like a content king. I've followed him for a while. He's just like a good energy player. There's a really good clip of him getting into it with Marcus Smart this past season.
Well, that's very satisfying.
Yeah, it was satisfying to watch.
So he's a good culture fit, you think?
He's a good culture fit. He's kind of like good amping up kind of player. He can't shoot at all, but like you never know how Larry can work his magic on people.
Good point.
But yeah, I guess it is a transitional year. That's what I'm sort of having a hard time with. But I think to my point earlier and like betting everything on Giannis coming, I still think like you can't suck this year. You know what I mean? Like you can't, you do have to stay competitive because like that's going to be such a draw for him when you look at how the Bucks sort of fizzled out, in the bubble. And then even last season, right? Like they didn't really get the push forward and they haven't really kind of like leveled up or evolved. And I think if he leaves, it's going to be because he wants to look to a team that's like doing all the right things and is in a good position to win. And to compete. So you got to still stay competitive. And like the last thing I'll say, I like the idea of OG and Pascal like moving through like positions a little bit more, but neither of them can play or should play the 5 because I think that would actually detract from like their versatility. I think they're best when they can kind of, especially OG, when he can kind of move through like 3 to 5 and sort of like kind of like feel the flow of things, be a little bit stealthy, be a little bit sneaky. And I don't think Pascal can really go up against like an Anthony Davis or like, a center of like that size. So I guess I am glad we still have like some physicality at center to kind of be the buffer for those guys. But I don't know. I'm choosing my most stubborn silver lining is that I'm choosing to look at the relocation to Tampa is kind of like, okay, yes, we got a lot of new guys. They are going to have to work into the chemistry of the team somehow. But everyone is meeting on this like neutral plane where there'll be like no holdovers, like no kind of like rituals. Everyone is just like there to work and live and compete. It's a really weird place, but like Florida in general, Tampa especially. But that, maybe coming through this will help to kind of crystallize a different kind of resiliency and like a new identity for the team.
Yeah. I mean, we've really kind of like I say we, like the royal we, but like Raptors fans, we, the North, took off for a reason. We're kind of this othered fan base for a bunch of reasons. And being in Tampa is going to make us just a bit more peculiar, just like we were in the bubble or, in Florida, I think like a couple weeks or maybe even a month before everybody else. That is part of this era, is kind of like this attitude of, oh, okay, even in this peculiar, difficult situation, we have a more peculiar, difficult lot than the others. Fine. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good point about Tampa. And just to touch on this kind of like center by committee stuff, I think Nurse really is going to have a lot of work cut out for him. And the way you spoke about Marc makes a lot of sense, Katie, because I was a big defender of Marc the whole time he was a Raptor, because he's just not a points rebounds guy. He's just not. He calls out everybody's sets. He's so slow, but somehow is always there at the right time. He's educating people all the time. He's making people pass more. He's shooting guys, or he's improving guys' shooting percentages. He's the type of basketball player that like is a good example of more than statistics. And I think the guys we're getting are definitely not more than statistics. I like Baynes, but I think Baynes kind of is the statistics you see. He's a hustle guy. I think we'll get more of like with him and Boucher, we'll get more vertical options for Lowry and Fred, which I think will be good. More guys crashing the rim. I think we'll be a better rebounding team. But the defense I think is going to hurt, especially the sophistication of the defense. But there's a lot of league stuff going on and a lot more Raptors stuff to come. So we'll.
I don't know if I like. Sorry, I just want to jump in. Like if we like I don't think we're a better defensive team than last year, but like, are we a significantly worse defensive team? Because I sort of looked at this like, man, the one thing we really needed was more offense, and we did not get that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point.
I think maybe if you think about how reluctant of a shooter, no, you know what I was going to say, if it was a Baynes Gasol trade-off, then I would say, well, you got more offense kind of with Baynes because he's more of a personal weapon, whereas Marc's like get everybody involved. But the combo of losing Marc and Serge, like I don't think anyone we've brought in is going to come close to replacing Serge's versatility and like efficacy.
Just like pick and pops with Kyle, like, you know, like that's the kind of stuff where, I guess we'll have to wait and see defensively if we're about the same place, if those guys can kind of fit into the defensive schemes or we're in bad shape, like, or just kind of the same shape. But I think the offense, Cathryn, to your point, like our offense is always so generative of like what's happening on defense. So if there's like a slump there too, like that could hurt on the other end. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I did want to share like a quote from Fred's press conference today, just like on what we were talking about, like team identity.
Please.
He just said, I think we're kind of headed back in the direction of where we were pre-Kawhi, where people are overlooking us again. But then he said, which is not a bad place to be in.
I love Fred. Like, this guy's the best.
I do love that.
It's very positive.
And that's the thing, you know, Fred, Norm, OG, Pascal, who's not going to improve between those four guys? I would bet a lot of money that all four of them have a better season than they did last year. Well,
I think they like proving people wrong. And I think maybe that's part of why they like being in Toronto, because it's like, you don't have this constant like ESPN, you know, Stephen A debating like your legacy on like a, 3 times a week basis, but you have like, but then suddenly in the playoffs, they have to be like, oh, damn, the Raptors are going to have to look up who these guys are again annually. And I think they like being, I think they like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And there's also the value. My last like little point here on like how we're perceived is, I heard it on the low post, and I was like, this is not usual from Zach, but he was like, and hey, if LA's playing and they put a small guy on Marc, he can punish him. We know he'll punish him. And I'm like, no, he won't. He did not do that last year at all. I defended him constantly. So I don't know what you think about Marc, but the fact that he's 7 foot, he just doesn't post. He's like,
I have something somewhat controversial to say.
Okay.
I think because the Raptors are so overlooked and a lot of American media or what have you don't cover us constantly, I think a lot of people almost forgot the Boston series and were just thinking about the championship run. When the Lakers took on Gasol, and then the way the media is covering how good of a signing that is. I feel like they're covering it like they took Gasol in 2019.
Yeah, if
in 2020.
If we signed Gasol, it would have been like, oh, really? That's what they did? And the Lakers signing Gasol, it's like, honestly, this is wild how smart they are. It's just crazy. They're on another level. Pelinka is on another level.
People are talking about Pelinka like he's like a demigod.
People need to slow it
He was
up
a disaster a year and a half ago. I don't know.
People need to slow it up with the Lakers.
Magic Johnson was calling him a traitor not that long ago.
Yeah, Magic Johnson.
Mad at that trade because of what they did to poor JaVale. I can't believe they sold him.
I know, and to
forever
Cleveland.
Like that. Yeah.
Cleveland needs to stop cooperating with the Lakers.
Everyone does.
ASAP. Okay, but anyways, let's move to some NBA. Maddie, if you got Adam Silver, Foghorn, I don't know what you got, please, good sir, give it to me.
National Basketball Association.
Oh. I came pretty close to the timing that time, I feel like. Thank you, Matt. Gentleman and a scholar. Katie, let's just, there's a million deals. I kind of brought up the NBA.com, all of the deals from all of the teams. I'm sure it's already a little bit out of date, but what's like the best single signing and why? I'm sure there's a lot of right answers to this, but I feel like we'll all pick something different.
Yeah, this feels like it happened 10 years ago, but I really like Chris Paul going to the Suns. And first I was very sad for Kelly Oubre because he loved being a Valley boy. But I also think him going to the Warriors is kind of perfect as well. But I think Chris Paul, like the Suns to me are like what is happening in OKC. But they're a little bit closer to being there, just kind of this like young core, like, he's got Booker, he's got like another big man again to do some kind of like Lob City 2.0 stuff that he did like with the Clippers. So I think that's like a really good fit for me. I guess I'm still waiting for like the biggest move of free agency, which is what's going to happen to Russell Westbrook. That's the only thing I care about anymore.
I don't want to go on a whole Russell thing, but I think people are being so mean to Russell Westbrook. And I think
people always are now.
A really good player. And people, I think the fact that he's not a top 10 player, people are like, oh, well, then he's the 90th best player. And it's like, is there any room in between or no, not at all?
Russ just loves to shoot. You just got to let him shoot. He loves to do it. He won't be stopped.
Cathyrn, by the way, when I was thinking about this question, Chris Paul was actually mine, but I was like, oh, I talked about that on the podcast last week, but
oh, sorry.
No, I was just thinking, I'm like, oh wait, all these trades have happened, and I think Chris Paul is the one I like the most because I think if you have Chris Paul, you're good, and if you're Phoenix, like, I mean, I don't want to say you're in the playoffs, but that's a big upgrade, and I think if you're not in the playoffs. It's probably going to be because of an injury or something. Catherine, who's your? By the way, I do have a backup, so I got a backup for Chris Paul. Catherine, who's your number one signing?
So, I mean, I think the biggest moves this offseason, oddly enough, were not through free agency. Like they were definitely through like trades and other things. Like I think. Maybe at least for now, I would call the biggest sort of offseason winner the 76ers because they went from being a joke to being quite relevant again. Mm-hmm. And,
two contracts that were like, wow, they still have the Harris one, but Richardson I think was good. But anyways, sorry.
Yeah, it was Richardson for Seth Curry, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, and so I just think that like, for all the like just constant like Embiid and Simmons can't play together, which was always complete nonsense. Like that was always a stupid argument in my mind. They just needed the right players around them. And they're finally getting to that. Like they lost all their outside shooting going into the 2019-2020 season. And that's why they struggled so much. And then Brett Brown had sort of the audacity to try and make Ben Simmons a 3-point shooter. And that was just making everybody look worse. And it was like, no, you don't make people something they're not. You just play to their strengths. And I don't know why that was such like an audacious concept to the 76ers, but finally they got enough competency to figure that out. And they are definitely going to be significant going into the Eastern Conference playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to make it out of the East. I don't have that much confidence in them yet, but I think they're the biggest winners. I am happy for the Phoenix Suns. I'm happy that they're really going for it in a significant way, and they're kind of finally getting out of this place of mediocrity, doing the right things to keep Devin Booker happy. And, I'm happy for that fan base as well. But I think I got to go with the 76ers in terms of like who's sort of won the most out of this whole offseason.
And Doc Rivers looks so well rested. I caught a glimpse of him on draft night, and I was like, man, he looks like he slept through the night for the first time in years. He looks great.
I love the Doc Rivers Morey combo. It's really fun to me. And then the fact that they worked together in like when they were in Boston, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like,
right.
I also love the weird Nets coaching combo, like Nash, Stoudemire. And
you love it?
Don't get me started.
Well, I love D'Antoni. And I think maybe I'm on my own island now because he has failed in some pretty high profile ways. But I still love Mike D'Antoni, his basketball philosophies. Okay. My winner is, it's basically Chris Paul, but my backup was, I thought New Orleans did a pretty good job in that, everyone is just like slamming on like Bledsoe is so terrible. He's the reason Milwaukee lost. And I think he played pretty poorly when Kyle Lowry, beat the crap out of him and we won a championship. But then this year, it's not fair to me when someone got COVID and then played bad in the playoffs. And then everyone's like, I'm going to pretend that didn't happen and just say they suck. And it's like, Russ got COVID. Bledsoe got COVID. It's not a small thing like that. I know Gobert and a lot of other guys, came back strong from COVID, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird to me. And I also feel like Bledsoe on a team where he can kind of just like be one of a bunch of talented guys, as opposed to like this focal point, he'll be better. And then they got Steven Adams, who just signed an extension. So I think the fact that they got Zion and Ingram, and Ball, just more talent is good. Cause that's a team, with a guy like Zion, you want to be in the playoffs early. And I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Ingram, but I think the Pelicans did a pretty good job.
And Stan.
I'm sorry, and Stan Van Gundy. How am I talking about coaches who I love and somehow forget Stan the Man Van Gundy? And also, what is the deal with the Van Gundys? Please work together. I think they love each other. Just Jeff, come on in as the assistant coach, dude.
I don't think Jeff would do it. I don't think he would do it.
I don't know if they work well together.
Yeah, I don't know if they do either.
I think they're both a bit hotheads.
Yeah,
I think they probably would fight all the time, but I want that so bad.
Like I wouldn't mind being a fly on the wall for like whatever their Thanksgiving dinner is like in a non-COVID world where they're actually at the same table. But you know what I mean? I don't know if I want to see them coaching together. But that's funny. I like that for you, Freddie.
That story about them when the bubble was going on, it was like how they took a walk every day. But even in the story, when they were talking about taking a walk, they were like fighting about like what to say about the walk, like fighting with each other. They'd be like, oh, we walked this far. And then like Jeff would be like, well, it's not like we're breaking any speed records. And like Stan would be like, well, I like it. I think we're doing well. Like
they're their own Grey Gardens of a type. It's beautiful to me.
I was going to say it's like coaching meets Curb Your Enthusiasm. I feel like that's what they would be like.
Well, early bubble too, Jeff made fun of his dad for getting hit by a car in Florida. And then also he was like, oh, he tried to walk it off. And then Marc Jackson was like, oh my God, that sounds so upsetting. He's like, oh, my dad's an idiot. And then he's like, guess what? A week later, my mom got hit by a car. And Marc Jackson's like, should we stop the broadcast? This is like upsetting. He's like, I know, they're both 80. But it's like, we don't know how to take this, Jeff.
Or Marc Jackson.
I know poor Marc Jackson was like, are your parents alive? Is this a bit? What's going on?
That's really funny. Especially because, like, I feel like Jeff Van Gundy's the last person willing to work with Marc Jackson, which is why he still has a job. But Jeff Van Gundy is just this neurotic human being that's probably like really difficult for him to put up with. Anyway,
love the Van Gundys. Cathyrn, who's your worst signing? And I guess I should say, is it Gordon Hayward? Are you on? Yeah, how do you, I mean,
so the two teams. Okay, so there's two teams that I'm calling them the worst because I just don't understand it. And maybe if there's any sort of justification on either of your parts, you can tell me. I don't understand what Charlotte is doing, and I don't understand what the Detroit Pistons are doing. They signed on like I think like 4 power forwards and centers, like 4 guys that are like a combination of like that type of player. Plus they still have like Blake Griffin. And I'm just like, I can't tell if they're actually trying to win or not. Anyway, I don't know what they're doing. I felt like they were signing people like it's 1999. And I especially don't understand what the the Hornets are just coming off extremely desperate at this point. Like I don't see like a clear path to like long sustaining winning there. But maybe you two have anything different to say.
I'm not here to defend Charlotte one bit. I'll just give you a very quick. Yeah, they drafted Ball, some later round drafts as well. They signed Hayward, and they still have some free agents. Biyombo, Bacon.
Oh yeah, what's the deal with that? Like, are we able to sign Biyombo, or we wouldn't at this point?
I'm not exactly sure where that's at. Like, I'm not sure if we have space, if there's like guys still being signed exactly. But
the Raptors are done. I think Len was maybe the last one.
Len did seem like the fillery contract. Yeah, Charlotte is a legit mystery. I saw a signing earlier that I was like, oh, that's more ridiculous than the Gordon Hayward thing. But I can't find it. So I don't think Hayward's like a bad player, really. He's just 30 and going to get paid $30 million a year starting this year. Has also been super injured and is maybe not an all-star. Like, I think he's like a fringe all-star. I certainly don't think he's better than like Pascal or anything like that. Yeah. Who's your, Katie, who's your worst signing?
It's not my worst, but my two, like, I'm still just like, what in the world is going on with Bogdan Bogdanovic? That like,
of course,
he basically caused such a like furor in the league because it's like there was like a pretend trade to the Bucks that like he never knew about, maybe, or like
that was weird.
Certainly didn't consent to, and then all of a sudden every other team was like, we must have Bogdanovic, you know. So good for him. Maybe that was like his own sneaky work behind the scenes driving up his like interest for him. Who knows? Maybe he's got.
He signed with the Hawks, right? Eventually.
Yeah. So kudos to Bogdan. I thought the like pettiest signing was that Montrez went to the Lakers. So
that was wild to me.
Maybe he has to shift locker rooms, but otherwise he's okay. He doesn't have to relocate. The Hayward stuff is like, I think it's dumb. I don't know that necessarily what it does for Charlotte. But I also can't see it really affecting the Celtics either, which is a sad thing to say about a player.
Wow. Yeah. You nailed that so hard because I listened to a couple podcasts and they're like, and the Celtics. I mean, I know they kind of blew it with the weird trade that was going to happen with Indiana. But like, I think they were better with Hayward. But as Raptors fans, it's like with Hayward on the court, the defense they played on us was not possible. Like,
I just didn't notice a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not. And also, yeah, like for that money, if I was a Boston fan, I'd be like, hey, we got Brown, Smart, Tatum. Like, this is it. And then we're looking for a bigger, you know, like a better version of Hayward, I would imagine. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
if you're Boston, you're feeling pretty good. And you're feeling especially good that you didn't overpay Hayward. And I think he probably needed a fresh start somewhere else too, just because of all the bad injury luck that he's had. But I mean, Charlotte really overpaid for him.
Hey, but for Michael Jordan, it got personal.
I mean, but it's like so sad.
That didn't connect to anything. I just was like,
no. It's always good to throw in a meme into the podcast.
Yeah, right?
But really, it's like they just did it just to prove that they could. And I'm like, that's where you're at. Like, that's a sad place to be.
And cheers to the Knicks for not doing that. I can't believe the Knicks haven't gotten Russ and extended Russ.
They still could.
Yeah,
they still could not come out of this unscathed.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? Dolan can be like, I was waiting for everything to calm down.
I guess the worst thing for me would be if Harden actually went to the Nets. That hasn't happened. I don't know if it will, but like, just made absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah, that one's weird. I think that's like it's a big, what's the word I'm looking for? What's a big three? But it's like a serious accumulation of talent. And I know sometimes people overtalk the whole like, but there's not enough like ball to go around. And they definitely did that with like Durant going to the Warriors. But that would be a scenario where I'm kind of like, wait a second though, who is going to pass the ball here? Because Curry loves to pass the ball. You know, Draymond loves to pass the ball. Durant and Irving don't enjoy passing the ball that much. I think they're okay. Harden is weird because he's like quietly like extremely gifted passer and, you know, has led the league in assists before. But yeah, that would have been weird.
You know what?
Like, if they got, sorry, Catherine, I was just going to say, if they got all of them, there wouldn't be anyone left to pass the ball to because they'd have to trade everybody away to make room for Harden.
Yes, totally.
I was going to say the thing that gets me about this whole sort of narrative is that, like, didn't Kevin Durant leave Golden State and do this whole Brooklyn Nets thing with Kyrie Irving because he had something to prove? You know what I mean? So that he could win without this like Golden State team that had already won before and all of this. And then if you get James Harden, it's like, you're not proving anything.
You did the same thing. You just
did the same
model.
Exactly. You just did the same thing all over again. And I think it's going to hurt his overall legacy where people place him in the top 50 greatest of all time. It's going to hurt his chances of ever being a top 10 guy in the GOAT conversation, which I think is what he ultimately really wanted. And so to me, it's like, this is not an advantageous move for Kevin Durant because it's like, I don't know. I feel like even though other teams have done it, like LeBron's done it, you know, with Anthony Davis now and things like that, I just feel like this will hurt his legacy if he has James Harden with him. And it'll especially hurt if he has James Harden with him and they still don't win.
Yeah. And like, what's so weird about the LeBron thing too, is that LeBron's done it, but only LeBron. That's the thing. Other people have tried to do like, oh, I'll just join up with a superstar. But it's like, if that superstar's not LeBron, you don't win. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And I think with Golden State, it was a bunch of superstars, right? So I think that's kind of like how that worked. And it was organically grown before Durant came. But we got some fun, quickish questions. Should we finish this baby off or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, Matt, give me that sweet quickish questions sting.
Quickish questions.
You're hanging with the fam. You know what I mean? I went into sitcom mode. Okay, this is Quickish questions. I'm gonna stumble. I'm gonna stutter. I'm gonna mistake a comma. If I see a semicolon, I'll just bug out, have a stroke maybe. That's okay. You have to answer I won't have a stroke. I'm okay. The dog's like, please don't have a stroke.
Oh.
But yeah, you two have to answer. You three have to answer as quick as you can. You can't phone a friend. No delaying. Matt, you know what's up. Hit me with those quickish answers. Okay, let's do.
With the answers?
I just.
What are we here for, Freddie?
I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna go. Cathryn, Katie, Matt. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Cathryn. How much did Tampa over Toronto influence Marc's decision?
I'm gonna say not a lot because he went to a warm climate ultimately.
Okay. And Katie, the same question, but for Serge. How much did Tampa over Toronto influence Serge?
Oh, a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
Don't get movie deals done in Tampa, Florida. Sorry, guys.
He's like, I can't.
Not with that bone structure.
I can't film a vet class. Sorry. I ruined it. Matt.
Yes.
Are the Heat doing Bam dirty by not extending him now? They haven't offered him an extension.
They haven't offered him? I thought I read something where
They just did.
They just did.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking
Yao,
news.
thanks for asking the question. You just got a
Sorry,
live for Matt.
Better late than never.
Whoa, I like that voice. Okay, Cathryn. Bad News Baynes is a wrestling style nickname. What other wrestling nicknames can you give the new players? So you get Alex Len. What's a good wrestling nickname for Alex Len?
I mean, I kind of liked, so Matt McCready made this like Len reference, like the old Canadian 90s band, One Hit Wonder, Len.
So Steal My Sunshine?
So yeah, I kind of want like a Sunshine Len kind of name.
Sunshine Len is a wonderful nickname.
It's not really a wrestling name, but I like it even more in the context of a wrestling name.
Oh, Sunshine Len? Like he opens something and it's too bright?
Yeah. He just shines lights in his opponent's eyes. Anyway.
Katie, your wrestler person is Malachi Flynn. What's the wrestling name for Malachi Flynn?
Gonna poke your eyes out.
I'm gonna poke your eyes out. Okay, that would be. I feel like that's a wrestling character that's like a little kid that just doesn't play by the rules. That's good.
Oh wait, the sins of Flynn.
The sins of Flynn. Oh, I like that. And he has like.
That's more serious.
He has like tattoos where it's like it's implying different sins.
Ooh.
Matt.
Yeah.
Jalen Harris. Give me a nickname for Jalen Harris.
I don't know, just like the Hammer.
Yeah, just a classic hammer.
Yeah.
Love it. Sometimes you just need a hammer on the team. And I'll do DeAndre Bembry because someone in the thread had a nice one. They said Randall, guest of the show, said DeAndre Taker, like DeAndre Taker, Undertaker. Okay,
No, that's good.
Cathryn.
Mm-hmm.
If Bobby Webster called you up and asked you to play for the Raptors, how much salary would you demand?
Okay, well, first of all, if I got a call from Bobby Webster, I'd be very flattered.
Mm-hmm.
I would imply that I never had a Nick Nurse crush, first of all, because that might be a like not a conflict of interest, but I feel like it might be workplace inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So just immediately clearing the entire internet, making sure he's unaware of my love for Nick. And then I would just ask for a lot of money. I would settle for pretty much anything, but I would start very high.
Okay, I like it.
That wasn't an actual number, but I mean, if he was like, look, you can join the Raptors. We're going to pay you minimum wage. I don't think I'm saying no, but I'll start the negotiation higher than that.
I fully accepted that you interpreted what's a contract number as like, I need to clear the air with who I've talked about on the internet. I need to for you, it's just like, I'll deal with the money in a bit, Fred. I need to make sure my scenario is comfortable. I feel safe in the workplace.
No, it's more about making sure Nick feels safe in the workplace.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. The last thing you need is, he's strumming with the Arkells and he looks over and he's like, uh-oh, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. We touched on this a little bit.
Oh, man.
No, we're good. We're good. My contract would just be like a bunch of sort of shawarma, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Katie, Baynes, Boucher, Len versus Gasol, Ibaka, Boucher. Obviously, Boucher's in both. But what are your thoughts on the new front court? Downgrade, upgrade, or neutral?
Didn't we already talk about this? It's a downgrade. It's a vibe downgrade. And that's what's most important to me.
Vibe's gone.
Yes.
Okay. Matt, this is the last question, but we're just going to make it an all play.
Okay.
From 1 to 10, how would you rate the Raptors off-season moves?
I'm going to give them a 7.
Okay. Cathryn?
Oh, same question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a B, which I guess is also a 7.
B minus.
You're like, how do I rate them in numbers? Well, does nurse know that I like them?
Yeah. 7's a B.
Katie, what would you rank? The Raptors off-season moves at 1 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I previously answered this on another podcast as like a B minus. So I don't know what that translates.
I think that's a 7. I think that's a 7.
I was a B. That was a 7. I was a B minus student.
Yeah.
So I should know. That's 70. Because if people are like, oh, did you get a 68? I'd be like, yeah, C plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
I had a great high school, everybody. Things are okay. That's it. That's the pod. We made it to the end. Thank you both so much. Matt, thank you for being a superstar as always. Cathyrn, I'll go to you first. What's up? You had some news for the pod, right?
Yeah, so I host a podcast called the Buckets and Tea NBA podcast. We have recently joined the Barn Burner Network.
Whoa.
So basically what happens now is I broadcast the show live every Friday at 9 p.m. So you can catch that on barnburner.ca or on something I've just learned called zingotv.com. As well, you can subscribe to the podcast and that still gets uploaded every Monday.
Damn, you're on Zingo? Damn.
I'm on Zingo.
You're on Zingo? Oh, shit.
And I will say, Cathryn, you have the record appearances on this podcast at 25.
Whoa.
This is your 25th appearance.
Wow.
I'm so honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to get a pear butt from my background.
Yeah. I'll send you a pear butt in the mail.
Okay, please do.
Katie, you got a bunch going on. Is there anywhere you want to direct people right now?
Yeah, I'm going to have a kind of like a feature out on the Raptors on Dime, probably tomorrow. Just kind of like, it's a little bit judgmental, but then it ends on a high note because I'm trying to talk myself into this season, just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're an analyst, but you're also a fan, right? So it's a dance about being like, that looks like a storm, but I got an umbrella. Ooh.
Exactly.
Sorry. I don't know what's
pretty good analogy.
Is that how you describe Katie's writing? That you're just in the middle of a storm with an umbrella?
No, it's much.
I love that.
Much better than my analogy, on the fly analogy. Okay, folks, that's the pod. We made it to the end. Thank you all so much, and thanks for listening. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow these two online. Cathryn and Katie are amazing. Lucky to have them both. Matt, if you feel like we're good to go, please, sir, just give me the okay.
The recording has stopped.